All right. Hi, I'm Adam from Max Mentality. I teach sports psychology and mental performance for athletes and other types of performers. And today we'll be talking about the power and science of visualization for athletes specifically. This is what we'll be talking about. This is not a very long presentation. I already got like a couple of slides, about 10, less than that. And yeah, it's quite brief and compact. I like saving people's time. I value people's time. And so that's what I'm doing here for you. We'll just be talking about what it is, some brief neuroscience concepts, and the neuroscience behind it. And actually, we're not going to be applying it today. That's a separate video. I should change that. We'll just be talking about like understanding the application of it, and then we'll just end it with a summary. But yeah, what is visualization? It's basically the act and technique of creating images. So kind of mental diagrams, animations, like movies in your head. Like everyone's done it. You probably know what I'm talking about. And humans have been using it since the start of humans, since humankind. We've been using it to communicate both abstract and concrete ideas. So, abstract, like what is peace, what is love, what is war, truth. And also, concrete ideas like how do headphones work? How do USBs work? Kind of, really like specific stuff like that. And visualization is actually one of the most powerful tools that we have for motivating and empowering ourselves and strengthening our performances, especially in sports. All of this can be applied outside of sports, by the way, but I made this video specifically for athletes, but you can literally take this into just any other aspects of your life. It's actually insane how powerful it is. And visualization has been studied by scientists now for the past couple of decades and in great detail, actually, and has led to scientific explanations that we can now use to get more people on visualization because, skeptics and all that. But now there's actual science behind this, and it's very exciting. But before we kind of get into it, we have to know some brief neuroscience concepts, and it's nothing complicated. It's just two key concepts that I'm going to go over, and we'll start with brain plasticity. You've probably heard of it. It's basically the ability for the brain to alter its structure, like literally physically change it, which you just marinate on that. Our brain can physically change itself. But yeah, it does this by producing new neurons and link existing neurons together. So the idea of neurons and synapses, I've written that in my article, and that's all in the description. I haven't added it to the presentation because I don't want to kind of buff things up too much. But yeah, it's to do with neurons and that type of stuff. But it demonstrates that the brain is capable of modifying itself, and that modification is occurring even as you watch this video. How do you feel about that? That's pretty insane, isn't it? Literally everything that we do, that we see, that we consume, just literally everything, even when we sleep, is changing how our brain operates, right? And so you'll see how insane visualization comes into this. But yeah, every idea, word, emotion, and action constantly alters the brain. And so if we choose, we have the capacity to both learn and unlearn things. That's why we don't know everything, right? There's specific things that we really know compared to everything that is out there in the world. Not everyone knows about how headphones work, right? Not everyone knows kind of how neuroscience works, right? Everyone has kind of like their domains of knowledge that they enjoy learning or they know of. And we can choose to filter out things that we don't like into our brain. And this principle of neuroplasticity supports our and many other coaches' belief that athletes and others can transform their habits, attitudes, and behaviors as long as they already put in the necessary work. That's a key statement. Necessary work, ready to put that in. Yeah, the second concept is learning and memory. So any new ability we acquire prompts our neurons to form new connections in accordance with that learning. These create neural circuits, which you can think of as a skill, right? So each skill we have, so cooking, riding a bike, shooting a free throw, kicking a ball, drawing, painting, making music, that's all linked to the number of neural circuits in the brain. and it's constantly being altered, like we said before. So this circuit is kind of being changed, kind of basically being destroyed, kind of being formed. There's new ones being formed. That's all neuroplasticity. So these are linked really closely. And where was I? Oh yeah. When we apply a skill, these brain circuits become active, giving the impression that we already know how to perform this action. So, we don't have to relearn how to breathe, okay? We don't have to relearn how to open our eyes or blink, right? We just do it, right? There's a reason for that. Neural circuits, there's neural pathways that have been formed, that have been connected and strengthened many, many times because we've done this for a long time. And the thing is that these neural circuits only continue for as long as the appropriate neural pathways in the brain are strengthened over enough time. I think I just said that. This means connections basically get stronger with each practice of the skill that we're learning or we have learned. So that's kind of common sense. But just understanding the science behind it can be pretty fascinating and just change your outlook on learning in general, which I just love. And the easier it is to recall a skill or a piece of information, the stronger the connections between neurons are. So if you forget history dates on your history exam or whatever, then you just haven't learned it. That's why memorization it's not always a good thing, right? Because if we keep forgetting it, that basically means that the neurons haven't been formed. There's no neural circuits that have formed to kind of relay that piece of information or that skill, okay? And so, but yeah, learning and memory are intrinsically linked on a neurobiological scale. And here is your neuroscience behind visualization. So as far as is concerned, if you give an experience an identity and give it significance, right, give it meaning, the brain will think of it as something that generally exists in the world. And I have to keep reading that statement because it keeps kind of blowing my mind. Like, it's like, holy shit. It's mad. This is literally due to a piece of brain called the thalamus, which you can think of like the capital of sensory processing. And it processes every emotion, idea, and feeling and sends that data to the rest of the brain. So thoughts that originate from the frontal lobe are given emotional meaning by the thalamus, which also plays a critical role in determining what is real and what isn't real. And this is just really crazy stuff that I really enjoy learning about, I'm passionate about. And so just rereading these things, it's just like, it's mind blowing. So if you repeatedly drill a thought concept or a concept, your brain will start to act as though it were a real thing in the world. So let's re-emphasize this. I can't say that word. You know what I'm trying to say? Let's re-highlight what this means. The thalamus does not distinguish between what is real and what is not real. It doesn't know, right? It can't tell what we imagine versus what actually happens. Like, it's the same thing to the thalamus, basically. And now you're starting to see how powerful visualization can be for your performance. So basically, every thought has a potential to take on the appearance of reality, even if it's objectively not real. Sometimes our brain just can't tell, and that's why it's powerful, because we can. Let's focus on a presentation before I start rambling. I don't want to waste more of time. I want to kind of pack this up really nicely. So basically, your beliefs can become neurologically actualized and your brain will react appropriately. And so you can kind of apply this not just to athletics or sports, but literally like any topic, like religion, like the way we believe, like the things we believe is kind of how we view the world. So, but yeah, because the brain cannot tell whether something is imagined or real, it makes the necessary new neural connections, even when you're just picturing it. And so the scientists have identified that visualization creates neural pathways in the brain that serve as a guide for actual performance. So imagine it's like blueprints, right? You imagine a free throw, and that's kind of like a guide for actually making the free throw. So I'll make the free throw kind of metaphor again soon. So when you imagine doing something compared to actually doing it, your brain forms the same neural pathways. Again, this is crazy shit. So does this mean that real life practice is obsolete? Can I just imagine myself kind of shooting 3-pointers or kind of scoring goals or, beating my opponents and like say like, yeah, I'm really good at tennis or golf. It's like, no, of course not. This is the crucial aspect of visualization, right? Any brain connections creating during the process of visualizing can be strengthened by physically repeating the process later. So visualization helps you in your performance, right? But it's obviously not a replacement. You like, as much as it does help, it's not a replacement. So you can't just, you have to go to training. Like, don't be lazy. You can imagine in your dreams, but you actually gotta go to practice, right? And so by imagining doing a motion or a play in your mind and then performing in real life, you strengthen your neural pathways linked to that performance. So you improve that motion or play. So you think about it and then you actually do it. And then you think about it again, right? And then you do it. So and this is kind of like a cycle just of iteration and improvement and enhancement. And it's fucking wicked, right? So understanding the application of visualization. So the fundamental thing, wait, before I say this, I will make a different video about how to actually apply it. Right? I knew this video was going to be somewhat long. I didn't want to make it any longer. So we're just going to, like I said before, just think about the application of it. But the fundamental thing to understand is that since most of the unconscious brain is focused on a visual construction of the world, visualization becomes crucial for achieving any goal. Envisioning your performance actually enhances your performance if you want to do better in sports. So I mentioned this before, and like I said, you can apply this to any other aspect in your life, like work, business, whatever. So a problem is easier to tackle if you imagine a potential solution, since doing so directly engages your working memory-related cognitive circuits. The visualization helps you put a troubling incident or problem in the past while also bringing our goals closer to reality. Whether you see yourself becoming a better golfer or a more compassionate person, your neural circuits will support you in achieving those goals. So visualizing actually can be quite challenging in the beginning. It was for me, it was for many people. It will be for you if you've never done it before. So it's just like any other skill, really. However, the irony is that your brain is actually wired to visualize almost every concept it has, even if you don't think you are excellent at it. Yeah, so literally everything we see, we've filtered in our brain and kind of made a reconstruction of it. So I'm looking at my laptop right now, but it's just a visualization of my brain of a laptop, and that's literally for everything. I don't want to kind of make it too deep, but even abstract concepts like peace are initially absorbed subconsciously by the brain's visual regions. So every one of us is born with the capacity to imagine, and is a skill that can be improved with repetition. So in terms of application, I'll just make a separate video. Also write a different article for that. But let's just summarize everything we've learned, because it has been a bit more mind-blowing, or maybe I'm just rambling on just because I find it really cool. But basically, the brain thinks in pictures and is unable to tell the difference between what it's actually experiencing and what you're imagining, right? That's why dreams can feel so real sometimes, because you can't tell. So every idea, word, emotion, and action constantly alters the brain. Neuroplasticity, remember that. It's pretty cool. So if we choose, we have the capacity to both learn and unlearn things. Neuroplasticity also supports our belief that athletes and others can transform their habits, attitudes, and behaviors as long as they're willing to do so. Neuroscientists have identified that visualizing creates neural pathways in the brain that serve as a guide for actual performance. So the blueprint concept is basically because the thalamus does not distinguish between what is real and what is not. And so any thought takes on the appearance of reality. Most of the unconscious brain is focused on a visual construction of the world, and by imagining doing a motion or a play and then performing in real life, remember that you actually got to perform in real life, you strengthen those neural pathways linked to that performance, and then that brings you closer to your goals, closer to reality. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I didn't expect this to be like 15 minutes long. That's probably me just rambling on, but yeah, if you're interested in this concept, right, I have written a kind of longer article that's basically very similar to the presentation, but it's just kind of more detailed, right? It's more about the neuroscience aspects of it. I kind of just try to distill it down for you in this video, but yeah, if you want to learn more, just check it out. It's all in the description. It's always a social media page. We got Twitter. Basically, we use Twitter as like for short tweets about performance that we just don't really it's just too short to add to articles or videos. So, but you might find it really inspiring. So if you want to check that out, then by all means do so. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching.